Fear not, citizens, hope has arrived because we are back with My Hero Academia, chapter 335. Joining me, as always, are my friends Isak Wolff, Leo Rydel, Geekly Goods. Guys, we are past Star and Stripe, and that was
Thank God.
that was an event. Leo, you weren't here when we kind of closed that one out. What were your thoughts on like how that entire showdown between?
I'm upset.
Okay,
I'm gonna just come out the gate and say I'm really upset, to be honest. I thought that the character Star and Stripe, right? That's her name, or is it just Star?
Star and Stripe.
I thought that was such a cool character, and like us talking about like her wanting her and Deku to like come face to face and maybe even train and like all these possibilities that were laid out with this character, only for her to be gone a couple chapters later. I'm sick of this, man. Lady Nagant, all these other really cool characters that were introduced in one chapter are just all of a sudden gone. I'm like, okay, let's stop the recycling of the really dope characters, please. But I did like that she put a wrench in All for One and Shigaraki's plans a little. Because now I think it's like All Might had mentioned in this chapter. It buys them a little time because I don't think 1A is quite prepared yet for Shigaraki, but with a little bit of time, they can form a plan. They can really work together. So this gives them the opportunity to really get the upper hand because, man, if he would have just absorbed Star's ability and no consequence, oh, man, we'd be looking at, Isaac said a couple of weeks ago, worse than Madara Uchiha.
Yeah. Yeah, and you know, that's why it was at least a cool twist of having Star basically give him a virus. And even All Might says that in this chapter on how she's weakened him and completely stripped away quirks to kind of depower him a little bit. I still don't like how we don't know what quirks she took away. So if he still has regeneration, nothing matters because we can't kill this dude. But yeah, I'm with you there. Where it's disappointing how we introduce new characters. Think about it. Even going back to a character like Night Eye, he at least lasted the majority of that overhaul arc. But that's still a character who's introduced in one specific arc and killed by the end of that same arc. And so that's been a running theme that's been really frustrating in the entire series, honestly. Isaac,
Yeah.
thoughts on everything that's happened so far before we move on? Because this is kind of like a reboot chapter. We're kind of going on to the next page of the story.
I argue that it confirms what we talked about before about her being sort of like a plot convenience of nerfing Shiggy in some aspect. And honestly, nothing else. And like I told before, it might sound weird out of context, but if her role was to die, essentially, I would at this point rather being a man, because we lose female heroes after female heroes, and that just at least Lady Nagant is alive and well off screen, I suppose. But
it's to piggyback off the Naruto comparisons. It reminds me of, you guys remember Killer Bee, right? In Naruto Shippuden.
Yeah.
Killer Bee he's another Jinchuriki like Naruto. He's super OP. But they didn't feel the need to kill him off. He just like helped Naruto become even more OP to match up with the upcoming villains. And it's like, I feel like Star could have been the Killer Bee to Deku's Naruto.
Exactly.
Instead of killing her off. And I think that's the issue.
Because she could have helped him harness the power of one for all. Because imagine what she could do with her rules. Yeah, I mean, she could make herself. She could technically make herself strong enough to withstand one for all at any power level it is.
But even scaling that down, like she can teach him how to use more than one power at a time.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me that this chapter hints that the class is going to help Deku get to 100% one for all.
Yes. So that brings us to chapter 335. This is pronounced zygotes, I guess. This is an interesting title because the first page we see here is All Might literally holding an egg, which is interesting. Spoilers for chapter 335 if you're not caught up on My Hero Academia. As of right now, this is the latest chapter. And you guys may have been spoiled because this was trending for like a good 2 days on Twitter. And over the holiday, Thanksgiving weekend, hope you guys enjoyed your holiday, by the way. But like, this was trending, and I think it was unavoidable getting spoiled if you accidentally clicked on anything related to My Hero Academia, because we have a traitor reveal, and we're gonna get to that in a minute. But All Might confronts the kids and lets them know the damage that Star dealt to All for Tomura, and it's pretty bad. Tomura has lost a lot of quirks. Again, we don't know what those quirks are. But as Yaoyorozu and Jiro point out, this is their best opportunity to strike. It's basically a repeat of the war arc, which happened a little over a year ago now. The League of Villains are kind of being pushed into a corner, and now they have to kind of sniff them out. While the heroes are doing that, All Might wants the kids to start training. And Isaac and I called this, I think, in our last recording. The kids are going to have to train. We're going into a training arc. I can feel it, that it's going to be very reminiscent to maybe the Class A versus Class B arc the anime just did. Maybe a little callback to Deku training with All Might in the beginning of the series. I feel like we have to do that to get everybody at a level where they can at least fight these 6 high-end Nomus that the League of Villains has.
Yeah.
Now, Leo, I want your opinion on this because I feel like we're going into the end game. This is the end game of the series right now. We have the panel of All Might saying we have to deal with Tomura Shiggeraki, the original All for One, Dabi, whose flames are as strong as Endeavor's, Toga, 6 high-end Nomu, and the rest of the Liberation Front. Him listing that off makes it sound like we're gearing up for the final battle. Is the end that close, like in the next few chapters?
Maybe not the next few chapters, because I think there might be a small arc here, maybe 3 or 4 chapters of them training Deku with One for All. It's got to get to that point at least. Like, I think we're headed in the direction of the end, but I think we're coming up on a little bit of training here, and then probably scooting towards the end with a lot of villains coming back, or a few others remaining from the what are they called?
The Liberation Front.
Liberation Front, yeah, the Liberation Front. You got the crumbles of them. They still got to take care of Dabi. Like, I think there's still some stuff, some corners to hit here. Yeah. And I hope they don't play hurry up and like go through that too quickly, because I think there does need to be a good amount of time between Dabi and Todoroki. At least a good conversation between the Todoroki family, because I think that's such a big part of Endeavor's story and of Shoto's story. So we can't rush that. And then there's still, I mean, like, All Might went over everything that's left. The Nomus, they might, like, Class 1A might get good enough to where they could whip through the Nomus, no problem. So I think that could be a quick, but the Dabi stuff, other villains that are still alive and well, they need to spend a little time on that. So I think we've got maybe like minimum 20 left. Minimum. We might be looking at 30 or 40. You know, they're like, oh, we're towards the end, and they might have 50 more chapters.
I'm hoping we're close to that 50 number, because like you said, like, to properly close out Shoto's story with Dabi, I feel like you need to dedicate a good 6 chapters to that alone.
At least. You
know, just to make, like, Star and Stripe was 6 chapters. And that, I feel like if those were characters we were familiar with, because we still don't know Shigaraki's power level really, and Star just kind of came out of nowhere. But it's like that time frame was a decent mini arc, even though we didn't like how it went. So pacing wise, I feel like the 6 chapters can work if you want to do like little pods for Shiggeraki over here and Deku, and then another one with Dabi and Shoto, and then of course Toga and Baraka. those are the things where it's like, okay, maybe 50 chapters, everything can breathe, and we can have a satisfying conclusion, because we've kind of been speed running for like the last year going through everything.
Real.
Like, keep this in mind. They still haven't moved to the second year. They should be second years, but so much has went down. School's over. And that to me is crazy. But yeah, Isaac, do you think we're like speed running towards the end here? Like you said, you thought there was probably maybe 60 chapters or so left a few weeks back. Are you still around that number, or do you think it's gonna like shrink down to like 30, something like that?
Honestly, unfortunately, I don't. I'm not so sure, because I know that with Bleach, it was clear that they rushed the ending, which is just confusing, because they had a mobile game that have them ranking a ton of cash. So why didn't have to force him Oda to force him to rush it all? I don't get. But this story has gone in such a. At one point, it's such a speed bullet of a pace. Then it's slow. It slows down with the Star and Stripes, and now it's sort of like it doesn't know the pacing. If you get what I mean.
Yeah,
and I wouldn't be surprised with 6 more chapters. Okay, 6 more chapters is a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if we only have 15, but I also wouldn't be surprised if we have 50 left, if that makes any sense.
That's a wide spectrum.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it's going to go by that quick, like 15 or anything like that. But yeah, I feel like we're ramping up towards the end. But this also opens up a new page here of Class A now knows about One for All. And this is like the first real arc where that plays into the plot, because it was revealed and then Deku ran away and then they had to bring him back. Then we went to Star and Stripe. But they're going to help him master this power. And I think it's really cool how Deku's all excited about how Kachan's going to help him master the quirk. And then Baku's just like, yeah, no, I'm using you so I can see how strong my new ability is, which is Cluster, which I think is going to be kind of cool, because we haven't seen Class A really fight in a real fight since the war. And we learned that they've been training this entire time with the Wild Wild Pussycats. The Pussycats are ranked like 400 on the Hero Billboard chart, so I don't know how much that training is going to pay off. But they have been putting work in behind the scenes, and I feel like this is the perfect time to introduce everybody's favorite teacher. We got to get Eraserhead back in here teaching these kids one last time, right? Like, I feel like that's the perfect way to kind of like wrap this part of the story up, at least in my opinion. I don't know about you guys, but I feel like having Eraserhead and Miriko walk in to teach these kids would be an epic moment.
Yeah, I definitely think that I think the training with the Wild Wild Pussycats, especially for most of 1A, is effective as hell. I mean, especially some of the, like, not to be rude, the not as strong characters like Mineta and Mr. Tape Gun dude. I don't remember his name, but
Discount like Spider-Man, yeah.
Yeah, him. There are a couple that don't have like super powerful abilities, but training with somebody even 400th on the chart would be very beneficial for them, especially to learn like new ingenuic ways that they can use their quirks. That's what I loved about Heroes Rising so much, was that we got to see them like all work together and use their quirks in like these effective ways that trap villains and then outsmarted villains. See, together the Class 1A, when they can actually plan and plot, bro, they're like unstoppable. Especially when you have the brick wall ending of both Bakugo and Deku.
For sure, I totally agree there. Especially like the Pussycats thing was a bit of a joke. I feel like you said, the continuity and everything. Like the Pussycats are a team of heroes, and if they can get that teamwork and that camaraderie between this class to work together, they're going to easily blow through that Liberation Army, because the League of Villains did that with their hands tied behind their back.
See, I really want to see something like that. Like, I want to see Class 1A like blow through them and the Nomus. Like, I want to see some like, some results of the trainings and things that they've been through. I mean, think about it. They've been after one danger after another, one threat after another. Like, I want to see the payoff of that experience and that training in the whole class, if we can get to that.
Yeah, I feel like that's the hard part, like with the Nomus, right? Like the pro heroes are probably going to deal with the Nomus because that will be a logical battle strategy. And the kids are going to clean up the Liberation Army, which is kind of boring. You kind of like that to be reversed because you want to see Kirishima fight a Nomu. I mean, let's be real. But,
Yes.
I don't know what we're going to get with that. But it's cool that they're training and they're going to help out Deku. I love, like we said this before we started recording, Leo, but I love that they're all into this, right? My Hero Academia is starting to revert back into that season 3 kind of peak where the class is together, they're one, they're kicking butt and taking names, and they're not afraid of what's about to happen in this war. Even though people have died, their masters have died, their senseis have been crippled, they feel that together they can overcome this great evil. And that's again My Hero returning to that kind of hopeful, inspiring nature that the series is so well known for. That kind of disappeared when we introduced the League of Villains and everything went to hell, essentially. But I like that. Like, look at Deku's face. He's smiling in almost every single page of this chapter, which just shows that he's back to being the Deku who saves people with a smile on his face, as opposed to Dark Deku when we had his little vigilante arc a couple months back. But as we're moving along through this chapter, we cut back to Tomura Shiggeraki, and he is just in agony after what Star and Stripe did to him. I feel like this might just be me interpreting this chapter this way, but it's like he's clearly in pain. I feel like she did destroy regeneration, and he's feeling the effects of this battle instead of just healing back up to full strength like he has been like the past year and a half. But in this scene, it's really interesting because All For One is saying, "You're the other me. We have to come up with another battle strategy. Luckily, I have like a million different ways this can go about." He tells the League to kind of stay put. Dabi is frustrated because he wants to go after Endeavor now, which I think is hilarious because Dabi plotted like a good 7 years before he went with this whole reveal of Todoroki. So a couple of weeks, all of a sudden, is a really hard wait for Dabi.
I kind of get it because, see, that is such a big part of that story because think about it. That didn't, it happened, the reveal of Endeavor and all that, but like people are still trusting Endeavor. I mean, like it's just a scar in his past. You know what I mean? Like we got to look past that. There's villains coming. They can't be sitting here plotting and mad at Endeavor and like, no, at this point, who can, like, you know what I mean? He didn't really damage Endeavor. Like he didn't just, like the people aren't just completely against working with him. So he didn't destroy Endeavor with that. He wants to destroy Endeavor. And I think it's such a cool little character moment for Dabi and even for All For One, who is, clearly wise in his ways and willing to wait and plan. And even like, I thought the part where he was like, I'd wait even decades. I thought that was such a cool panel. And I thought maybe it was hinting towards a little bit more time going by. Like they might wait.
Like what, like, we've been dismissing the idea of My Hero Shippuden, right? Because Horikoshi keeps saying this is going to end. It feels like it's going to end. But there can be a version of this where All For One has to go into hiding for years until the kids graduate, go to college or whatever. You're right, Leo. That could be a seed being planted. And we know how subtle sometimes Horikoshi's seeds can be. We're going to get to that in a couple pages here. But yeah, that could be hinting at something greater. And Dabi, that's you make a great point. Like if Dabi did that reveal before the war arc, he probably would have ruined Endeavor's life. But since it happened during a war where the entire country went to crap and all of the heroes are quitting and some are killed, it didn't have the punch he probably wanted, and so now he's antsy. That's another cool character flaw in him, is that like it didn't work. Now what do I do to get back at my old man? Isaac, I'm going to toss this over to you because, like, after this Dobby thing, we have this whole all for one speech about how he has friends everywhere and how it doesn't matter how protected Izuku Midoriya is behind the walls of UA. The last panel, the English translation took text out. I'm going to let you guys know that there's text missing in the English translation as of right now. It's supposed to have in bold text a trailer revealed, excuse me, and it's Toru Hagakure. Isaac, what do you hate about this reveal that Toru is the UA trailer?
I don't. How should I put it? Looking back at the series, looking at that character's abilities, looking at what we talked about earlier with Star and Stripes, she has the most obvious abilities as a double agent, because she can easily be go in blind, so to speak, with nobody see her without any issue. She is the one that we have seen talk less about heroism, and she is arguably one of the lesser characters in this class. So it's just those parts on top of, like I mentioned before, how should I put it without sounding wrong? It just feels like what could have been how should I put it without sounding wrong?
You want a minute to think about it?
I'm just disappointed that we might have yet another potential great female character go down the drain because, well, for whatever reason.
I disagree in the sense that Toru is not a major character in Class A. She was never intended to be such. But also, this was set up from the very beginning of My Hero Academia, and nobody really thinks about it because, like, you could say it's obvious now in hindsight, but like in the first arc of this story, in season 1, the League of Villains attack the USJ, and all of the students are accounted for except for Aoyama, who clearly states that nobody knew where he was, and Toru Hagakure, who claims she was with Shoto, but Shoto has no recollection of her being there. And it's like, that's very suspicious, and the story made it known that, hey, we have no idea where these two were. That's sus. Keep that in mind. Season 2. She's the one who tells them to go to the mall, the very mall that Tomura Shigaraki was at, and Deku ends up falling into danger because Shigaraki's right there. And it's like, there's these tiny moments, like you said, of her not ever talking about why she's here. How does she even get into this class? How does she beat the robots in the entrance exam to get into this school? And it's like, these are things that we've always thought about, but I've never seen Toru really high on anybody's list of who the traitor would be. It was usually, oh, it's Aoyama. It could be Asui. It could be Koda, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, I feel like it's effective because, like you said, her quirk allows her to infiltrate. And like, she could have an evil smirk on her face every single time that school gets attacked, and we don't even know. You know? And it's like, it makes sense. Is it the most surprising reveal? No, but I don't think the traitor was supposed to be this grand reveal that people wanted it to be, because frankly, the story doesn't reference it until every like 100 or so chapters. So
fair enough.
I feel like people are mistaking this as, oh, this reveal was underwhelming, but it's like, it's not that Toru being revealed to be a traitor was the reveal. The reveal was that All for One did have a spy on the inside. And even now, as they're gearing up to train with All Might and the other teachers and get ready, she's still in Class A, feeding him information, and ultimately probably leading to another hero loss, unless Danger Sense can snuff her out. Leo, what were your thoughts on this this little reveal here? We finally got the traitor plot kind of resolved.
I never really followed Toru Hagakure, so I look, it's not really shocking, but because yeah, she does have the quirk that would make sense for her to be stealthy and be behind the scenes. But it's like you were saying, Mike, it's the fact that All for One had a mole the whole time was kind of like the part that was like, oh shit, like, so what all does he know? You know, it opens up a whole can of curiosity for me of, okay, it is a Class 1A character that has been there the whole time, that has been with them through every step.
Yep.
What all does All for One know? Like, I'm so curious now. I don't think necessarily I was that shocked that it was that character.
Yeah.
I think I really like though that they went that route, because it wouldn't be for me if it was like somebody like real major, like or Raka or Sue or anybody else, Ida even. I mean, like if it was somebody as big as that, like I think I'd be like, okay, I don't know if I like that. But the fact that it was like a small character that we really, you know, see every now and then, we don't really see her that often. Not a major character at all. I'm okay with it, and I actually really like it.
Yeah, I like that's again, it's not an issue. It's just how My Hero Academia is set up, where every character that could have been a cool traitor, we know too much about them. Like Ida comes from a family of heroes, and he wants to uphold his brother's legacy. Sue, we've seen too much of her character. She could have she could have given Deku up to the League of Villains in season 1, but her and Mineta saved Deku's butt and worked together. And it's like that shows that Sue is trustworthy. We've seen Kirishima's flashbacks of him wanting to become Red Riot and be like Crimson Riot, so he's ruled out. And it's like they developed all of these characters so much that it kind of leads you to like, yeah, she's the obvious choice because she's the one who didn't get a flashback episode.
Exactly.
But that speaks to how good the character development is for this entire class. But also that again shows that the traitor plot wasn't really supposed to be this grand twist or grand reveal, more of where do we go from here? Because All for One he probably knows everything about every single student's quirk now. Like he probably knows that Bakugo doesn't fight well in the cold, or that Sue is cold-blooded, so she sucks in the cold, or how Ida's engines stall, or like all these moments that the villain shouldn't have. He probably has that information and can now counter them in battle.
Yeah. See, that's why Deku's going to be the wild card.
Yeah.
Only thing is, I mean, they better figure out quick.
Yeah, exactly. Like I think All Might again said they only have like maybe a week tops again of free time. I hate that we keep putting timers on this stuff, but that's what we're doing. I want you guys' opinion on like the League of Villains, because they kind of went back to this. I guess the Para Liberation Front. We have All Might listing through all of the villains that they're about to face. We read that part earlier. And Himiko Toga comes up. And in one of the panels, she's just in the background of a scene with Shiggeraki. Now, I made a point of mentioning this like maybe a month ago. Toga hasn't been featured in the story in any significant way for over a year now. Like a good 75 chapters, I'd say. Toga has not been a part of the story. Because she ran off after a confrontation with Uraraka, and it's like her entire world came crashing down after she lost twice, and she doesn't know what a hero's supposed to do, what a villain is supposed to be like, blah, blah, blah. Is it weird how we kind of just ignored all that and she's just back with the crew again? Because I feel like that was again, a sign that Horikoshi might be skipping plot lines that he could have developed, and says, she's back with Shiggeraki. We're not going to go there.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are just a lot of different stories you could tell at this stage in the story. But I just think there's so much that you could tell, so much more story to tell. You really can't wrap this up in like 6 chapters. Like this, there's too much at stake here. There's too many people's backstories we know about. You know, like we gotta give it at least, I'm thinking on the light end 30. Light end.
Yeah, because like you mentioned before, Dabi and Shoto has to be like, and throw an Endeavor on top of that as well. So that's another thing. Their entire family, Hawks, he's involved in that plot line. Then the Vestiges, Star and Stripe, like, because that also didn't get like resolved really, because the pilots that were with her says we analyzed his body and we know what quirks he has and what quirks he lost. They're just not sharing that information with us, the reader, yet. But it's like that has to come back into play. And I don't know, like, it's just Toka's story is really interesting and it feeds into Uraraka's character. And by not following that plot line up, it's like, okay, are we going to give these secondary supporting characters the proper conclusion to their arcs, or is this just going to be the Deku Shiggeraki show from here on out? And you know, that's my concern. What about you, Isaac?
I mean, it could all be that she. I mean, look at it this way. It could all be that she found Shiggeraki, and it was Shiggeraki that she followed. And now, looking back, looking at how he is now, she feels that no, I can't go behind all this. I go to the enemies of my enemy, so to speak.
Yeah,
it could just be that she being with Shiggy is the only place she can really be. But since she sees that, well, he's going down the drain, what's she gonna? The best option she has is saving him, or just run and hide. Although she probably need to run and hide even after this fight, but that's besides the point.
Mm-hmm.
So it could. I think it makes sense that she is with him now. It's just a question of will she remove herself from the group and just say, I want to help you, or not, because of her loyalty is with Shiggy, not all for one.
Yeah. Like it reminds me of, I don't even know how long ago it's been, but you remember when Class A first found out about One for All? And we didn't spend any time focusing on that whatsoever. Like, they found out pretty much off screen. We had like maybe one flashback to them reading the note Deku left them before he left UA. And it's like, that by itself could have been a season finale. You know, that could have been a big moment. And it's just kind of like, yeah, you have All Might Square. Cool. You know, like, he lied to them. That could have been like, you could have Ida kind of angry that he lied to them this entire time, and how they kept keeping secrets and put everybody in danger because they keep getting attacked by the League of. And it's just like, no, we're gonna ignore that. That was too interesting of a story.
I'm glad that Class A though didn't hold that against him.
I agree. I don't think they should have held it against him, but I feel like that was a conversation that should have at least been had, instead of them finding out like on one panel and then we completely ignore it. Like, I feel like he kept this secret for hundreds of chapters. I assume his mom also knows, and that's something that doesn't get brought up either, is that, oh, look, All Might is endangering my son because he roped him up in this battle between All for One and One for All. And it goes in contrast of that moment, that touching moment where she begs All Might to make sure he protects Deku. I feel like that was another conversation that could have come back up, but we are again speed running the story so much to the point where it's like, okay, we're losing valuable character moments to get to Star and Stripe fighting Shiggeraki.
Well, for me, I don't know that it so much threw me off because Class 1A, I've come to understand that they want to be heroes no matter what, which is demonstrated a lot in the movie and in episodes of the show where they just do like super small tasks and they're like happy to be doing it. I think this falls in line with that sort of thinking. And they really don't like, yeah, it's been a whole thing this whole time, but that's what they are. They're heroes. They're supposed to be fighting off threats like this. Like this falls in line with who they're supposed to be.
Yeah, fair point.
Deku's mom, another discussion though. Like I'm surprised they have like she is obsolete at this point.
She's almost as obsolete as his dad.
Yeah, I'm like, damn. Well, what happened to his mom? I hope she's all right.
We know she's at UA. We've seen her in like a couple of background panels, and it's like we know she's there. So you think we would have had one interaction with her?
I didn't know that she was back.
Her also, and Bakugo's mom are there.
Also, going back to the dad and Endgame, over under 50% that we are going to meet Deku's dad at this point.
I believe Horikoshi when he says Deku's dad is going to appear. At the rate we're going, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Deku's dad by February.
That'd be cool because doesn't he have a fire quirk?
Yeah, he breathes fire and he's been working overseas, and now heroes from overseas aren't coming over, so he might try and come over and see his wife and son one last time before Japan blows up.
That would actually be super tight if he came back like at the right opportunity. Breathe some fire,
or it ends up being that he is Endeavor's lost love child or something.
Deku being Endeavor's love child or Deku's dad? Because Endeavor ain't that old.
Yeah, I'm like, I think they're about the same age.
That Endeavor is Deku's dad. He is Endeavor's secret love child.
And
I don't know about that.
That doesn't jive with Endeavor. That is like, what is Inko's float quirk gonna do with Endeavor's spot? Like, he was all about making superpowered babies, and that was not gonna work.
No, I think he's saying Endeavor and Deku's mom.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Endeavor wouldn't get with Inko because her quirk wouldn't be compatible with his. Which is why I could explain why Deku's a dud and didn't have a quirk at all, I guess.
Isn't there a speculation that the doctor that checked on him at the beginning is the doctor that worked with Shiggy?
It's not speculation; it's confirmed. That is Dr. Garaki.
Okay, maybe he had some mega powerful.
Yeah, Dr. Eggman's the guy who told Deku he didn't have a quirk, but he's also the one working with All for One. So there was a theory that he took Deku's quirk away and made up the BS about Deku's toe not showing that he doesn't have a quirk. That doesn't work anymore because we know to complete One for All, it had to be a quirkless user to hold it.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But well. I want to throw this at you guys because we kind of ignored this with the Toru bit. We see her silhouette. Do you think she actually can become visible and she's just been conning us this entire time? Like, what's that about? We've never seen a silhouette of Toru Agakure.
Oh, I was always to the belief that she could turn it on and off. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, it's always she can control it. At least that's what we were led to believe, which is why we've never seen her face. She's always invisible. So this is showing that maybe even that was a lie. What if Toru's not even a teenager? Like, what if she's a grown woman? But since we can't see her, that was how she got into UA.
I mean, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility for me. Look, she's been invisible the whole time. She could be anybody.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I think that's interesting. That's another interesting little character bit with with Hagakure. It's like, oh wait, we can kind of see her. I wonder if we're gonna get a face reveal for her within the next couple of chapters. I don't know. Like, I really dug this chapter, you guys. Like, it was kind of a return to status quo a little bit with All Might, even reflecting on the first day he trained them, and you see Deku in his little homemade suit, and he's just all like, they've grown up so much. Or even Shiggeraki saying that he wants to kill everybody, even if they remember All Might. He wants to end his legacy that badly. It's like, okay, this is what we want to. This is what we want to see, right? We want to see Class A gearing up for battle. We want to see the villains being pushed to the brink, and then when they ultimately collide, I think it's going to be a fantastic showdown. It might rival the War arc, honestly, which to me is still the best arc in the entire series. But yeah, like, is there anything else you guys want to discuss with this chapter? It's a lot of setup for the new status quo and kind of going into the next arc of the series.
So what if we throw a wrench in things and it's actually Toga that we see at the end of the chapter? How would y'all feel?
I feel that still makes sense.
I was like, what if she took out Invisible Girl, like killed her? Like something like that finally happens in MHA.
That's
Would
possible.
That throw it off?
I actually like that idea really, really well, because you think about, like, we already know that she can steal quirks. So Toru might not be this actually happened in that one arc where she like replaced Kami and she was pretending to be Kami. So they can do the same thing where she takes on Hagakure's appearance. She can use Hagakure's quirk so she turns invisible, and now she's becoming a mole. That actually fits in line with something they've done before. And that also makes Hagakure being a traitor more interesting, because, like Isaac said before, it's kind of the obvious choice, but that twists it on its head a little bit. I actually like that idea.
Yeah, just thought of it randomly. I'm like, I wonder what if she's not the invisible and is actually Toga, because she's not even hasn't been in play for what, a while. Like, we haven't seen her in what, 15 or so chapters at this point. I mean,
I was talking to this one person on Twitter, and it's like, Danger Sense should alert Deku that there's a traitor, right? Like, that should be something that comes into play. So either he has not been near Toru Hagakure since being back at UA, because I feel like Danger Sense would tell him, like, hey, something's wrong with this person. So if that's not happening, it could have been like, yeah, it could have been replaced. It could have been a replacement jutsu. Or, you know, like, maybe he just hasn't seen her. That could be an excuse. But I feel like Danger Sense would come into play here with detecting a mole, and it hasn't so far.
I mean, well, that brings into question how, like, what is the parameter of Danger Sense? Is it like a large threat only? I mean, like, because for her to be a mole, like, this is sneaky, this is espionage. Maybe Danger Sense is for like an actual like physical attack coming at you, or like I
like a spider sense.
Yeah, like I view Danger Sense as more of like a spidey sense, as opposed to like being able to sense any kind of betrayal, or like those are mental things.
Yeah, it's possible. That could be one way to interpret it. Since we don't have a lot of info on Danger Sense, you're probably right. And that keeps in line with the turning Deku into Spider-Man thing we've been doing since Black Whip.
Yeah, I mean, let's be real. He's like swinging from Black Whip in the new movie. I'm like, this is some Spider-Man shit right here.
I guarantee you they made that movie right then and there, because next season Deku gets like most of the quirks. And so it's like, we want to make a Spider-Man movie before it's too late. But that's another thing. Like, think about it. Think about how the movies, Toru doesn't play a role. She didn't play a role in any of these movies, honestly.
No.
So I think that's also cool that the anime folks made sure, like, hey, her and Aoyama don't do that much. We also haven't seen Aoyama since we saw Toru. So, and he's also one of the people we didn't have an account for during the USJ attack.
Who's that?
Naval Laser.
Oh, okay. I thought that's who you meant. Okay.
Yeah. So it's
we haven't
like,
seen him in a while.
Yeah, it's like he can all, like, what if there's two moles? He might be another one. But the only reason that gives me pause is because Deku says Aoyama became one of my closest friends. and if Deku's narrating the story, I don't think he's going to be like, and then that son of a bitch backstabbed me 6 months later.
Until dot,
Right.
dot.
The longest ... ever, like 3 seasons worth.
Yo, I am looking for him in the panel though, and he's not there.
He's not. That's what I'm saying. Like, he's not here.
I mean, maybe Horikoshi just forgets about him from time to time. Would you be surprised?
I wouldn't. Like, I guess if you're gonna have Coda in the Annie voice in the background here, you kind of need to have Aoyama on this panel. That's my thing.
Right. Yeah, like that's random.
Yeah. But Isaac, did you have anything else you wanted to discuss, or what did you think of the Toga Isagakure theory?
It could work. It could work. That's all the thing I can really say about that.
I mean, I've been on the make Toga replace somebody in the Clash train for like 1.5 years, and y'all keep calling me crazy when I'm like, what if Uraraka is Toga? It has to happen at some point, right? I gotta be right eventually.
I mean, she doesn't have to replace someone. She could just come and help them, considering, well, Shiggy is in danger.
Yeah, I mean, maybe we'll have to get a nice 3-chapter character development arc for that to be believable, because she stabs people to show her affection of love, man. That is going to be kind of hard for her to fit in with this class. But at least Shinso gets to join the class now, since they're going to kick Kagakure out. Remember when that was a thing?
Oh.
Poor guy was supposed to join in like a month's time, and then all hell broke loose. You feel bad for him. Okay. Guys, I think we can wrap this episode up. That was My Hero Academia chapter 335, Zygotes. Chapter 336 is coming out next week. There's no break. They're going to be featured on the cover of Weekly Shonen Jump. So I expect something major to happen, because whenever they're on the cover of Shonen Jump, it's a pretty fire chapter. So that's exciting. Leo, what's going on with Geekly Goods? You got anything coming up?
Yeah, come on over to youtube.com, guys. Search up Geekly Goods. Geekly Goods. There's 2 G's in the logo. Come on over. That's my channel. Coming up, we got a lot. We got Being the Ricardos review coming up for that. Also, West Side Story. I'll be seeing that soon. Not sure when that review will be out. Gotta check on embargo stuff. But there's all kinds coming up, guys. A lot coming up in December. Cobra Kai. Gonna try to catch up on Witcher. And lots coming up. So come on over to the channel. Let's chat.
Cobra Kai season 4 is going to be awesome, because we have Terry Silver coming back.
Yes, baby. Terry freaking Silver.
You know, it's kind of like that Thanos line from Endgame. It's like, we didn't care about the Karate Kid Part 3 that much, but after Cobra Kai, it's like, perhaps we treated you too harshly.
Right. Yeah, I went back and was kind of like, okay, maybe not. This might not be too bad now.
You know, it's just like, yeah, Cobra Kai is fantastic. I can't wait for that one. I'm excited to see what your thoughts are on West Side Story too, because you're not the biggest musical guy, but I'm hoping it surprises you. I hope Spielberg has a surprise there.
Yeah, well, I'm about to watch the first one today, and I'm not excited.
That's like a 3-hour movie, so good luck.
Oh, man.
Isaac, what's happening over here? The Amateur Otaku.
Well, we recently did an interview with Rob Moira, the voice of Kimara from Fenda Pirate Princess, and Rody Soul, the voice of Rody Soul, Ryan Colt Levi. Both are fantastic people and it was great interviewing both, even though I was extremely nervous about My Hero interview, but that's besides the point. And we are also having in the upcoming, we have an episode on the Violet Evergarden movie coming up this weekend, and we also have more My Hero Vigilante stuff coming up. So that's all fine and good. And well, I'm
definitely.
over at Wobam Entertainment. I'm working at the Pokemon Brilliant, Pokemon Shining Pearl, Shin Megami Tensei 3, the Super Mario Party Superstars review should be up soon, and hopefully I can get my ass off and finish writing of the Horimiya review, and that video game characters that deserves their own video game comic book characters deserves their own video game franchise. But that one is a tough one.
Awesome.
And also, thank you, Leo, for reminding me that I need to rewatch Witcher for upcoming season 2, so I can do a double review on season 1 and 2. So much going on.
After 2020 and like everything being pushed back, it's just awesome to have all this new content coming out with Jujutsu Kaisen, Demon Slayer, Attack on Titan, all these movies, all these shows like Cobra Kai, Arcane, all this stuff. It's hard to keep up, but it's fun, like especially now, like even if you fall behind, you have a backlog of awesome stuff to check out later on. And that's just something that I really love about the last few months. It's like, hey, things are kind of returning back to normal a little bit. But yeah, you guys, I already read that chapter of Vigilantes. Pretty good. Can't wait for you guys to check that one out.
Oh man, I gotta catch up on Vigilantes.
Yeah, we're gonna be recording chapter 3 sometime this week, you guys. So that should be fun. For me, you can catch me at Novice Cinephile on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, The Novice Cinephile on Instagram. We also did a live stream over on Leo's channel, Geekly Goods, where we discussed Cowboy Bebop at length. It was probably one of the best sessions you'll find of the Amateur Otaku on this channel, but also the Otakuverse on Leo's channel. 2 reviews for Cowboy Bebop for you guys to binge through, and we discuss everything regarding the Netflix adaptation. So if you want to hear people rave, rant, argue, but overall, pretty much enjoyed Cowboy Bebop, check out Leo's channel. Check out this channel because we have a review here as well. We will catch you guys next week for My Hero Academia 336. And also stay tuned for My Hero Academia Vigilantes over here on the Amateur Otaku podcast. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and let us know if you want us to cover anything else in the world of anime and manga. We will catch you guys next time. Go beyond. Plus Ultra.
Plus Ultra.